Yo, welcome to the Mighty Habits podcast. Just a quick heads up. This one's strictly for the 18 and over crowd, all right? We're about to get into some real shit today.
Yeah, definitely. Consider yourselves warned, you younger listeners. It might get a bit raw.
So you know that Gary's Economics YouTube channel, the one you sent over? We're diving headfirst into his take on how the ridiculously rich operate. Specifically, his pretty messed up time at Citibank.
Right, and how that whole experience, that whole ordeal really kind of shaped his view on figures like,
Right.
well, like Trump and Musk.
Exactly. And the mission, let's cut the crap, is basically to figure out how these top dogs play their games.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to truth, lies,
Mm-hmm.
all that fucked up stuff.
Yeah, what does it mean for the rest of us, the regular folks? We're trying to decode their playbook, essentially, based on Gary's firsthand account.
Totally. The source is that Gary's Economics YouTube video, The Games and Strategy of Rich People, What I Learned at Citibank. He actually dropped it to mark his book coming out in paperback.
Ah, okay, so there's that timing connection.
Yeah. Now, to set the scene a bit, Gary kicks things off, talking about when he tried to leave Citibank. Apparently, his bosses went, like, totally nuclear.
Oh, wow. Threatening him?
Yeah, threatening him with all sorts of hell. And that basically started this insane period he calls the meeting period. Think daily meetings, just a revolving door of managers.
That sounds absolutely draining, like psychological warfare almost.
You ain't kidding. For like 3 or 4 weeks straight, this poor guy was doing 2, 3, sometimes even 4 meetings a day.
4 a day? Jeez.
And get this, it wasn't just local managers. No. We're talking suits dialing in from New York, London, Singapore, like the whole global management team.
Wow, so different combinations every time.
Every single time, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes these huge Zoom calls with like 6 or 7 senior managers just staring him down.
That's a serious amount of pressure. A really coordinated effort to just wear him down, sounds like.
And the tactics, man. The tactics were straight out of some like seriously fucked up movie playbook. You'd have one manager just screaming his head off,
The full drill sergeant?
Totally. Dropping the figurative F-bomb left and right. Then literally the next minute, another manager would jump in, all supportive, like, listen, Gary, we value you. We're on your side. We can work this out.
Ah, the classic good cop, bad cop, designed to mess with your head, make you trust the reasonable one. Manipulation 101.
But hold the hell up, because it gets even weirder than that.
Okay.
Sometimes you'd walk into a meeting, maybe a big Zoom call with 6 or 7 of the top brass, right? And they'd all be sweetness and light.
Yeah.
Super supportive, telling him how damn valuable he is, how much they need him.
Okay, so a united front of support.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but then, and this is the part that Gary said, really, like, well, it didn't piss him off exactly, but it was just bizarre. The same manager who was just tearing him a new one in the last meeting, that would be all smiles and, we believe in you, Gary, in the next one. Sometimes back-to-back meetings. Same dude. Completely different personality.
Wait, seriously? Like, immediate switch?
Instantaneously. Gary actually said, when he told a friend about it later, the friend was like, man, that must have made you go completely mad.
I can see why. That constant whiplash, the inconsistency, it's designed to destabilize you.
Right. But Gary said he almost found it funny. In a really dark, twisted way, like watching some absurd office comedy unfold. This high-powered executive doing a complete 180 just because the meeting context changed slightly.
It just screams performance, doesn't it? Like none of it was genuine emotion, just a role they were playing depending on the scene.
Exactly. And that was the key takeaway for him. These power plays, these performances, they weren't about expressing any real belief or feeling. It was purely about the objective.
Which was?
Keeping Gary at Citibank. Simple as that. Whatever it took.
Right. And that leads to his bigger insight, doesn't it? About truth and lies.
Yeah, this is the real kicker.
Yeah.
Gary realized from all this bullshit that, really rich and powerful people, they just play a completely different game with truth and lies compared to us normal folks.
How so?
Well, most of us, right? We kind of assume that when someone says something, they generally believe it, or at least there's some connection to what they actually think or feel.
Yeah, there's an expectation of sincerity, generally. You assume words reflect some kind of internal state or intention.
But these high rollers, especially when it's about money or power or their work, Gary says they're in a totally different headspace. Their main focus isn't expressing some deep truth, it's just the objective. What do they want out of this conversation?
So communication becomes purely instrumental. It's a tool to achieve a goal.
Exactly. In Gary's case, the goal was stop him quitting. So the question for them wasn't what's true, it was what words, what behavior, what strategy will achieve that goal.
It's less about conveying reality and more about manufacturing a desired outcome in the other person.
Totally. They're constantly thinking, what role do I need to play here? What's the best angle? And because Gary was immersed in that at Citibank, he saw that this is just normal for them in those contexts.
It's like a fundamental difference in how they view interaction itself.
Hmm.
Less genuine exchange, more strategic maneuvering, like chess pieces.
Yeah. And it's that strategic use of language, kind of detached from genuine belief, that Gary then saw playing out on a much bigger stage with guys like, well, Donald Trump.
Ah, okay. So that Citibank experience became a lens for understanding political figures, too.
Exactly. He said it was like cracking the code for Trump's presidency. Remember all those completely wild statements, the stuff that sent the media into a total frenzy, the promises that just vanished?
Oh, yeah, the constant pronouncements and then often very little actual follow-through or policy that matched. It was definitely confusing for a lot of people.
Right. And Gary's point is that most people, the media included, they made the mistake of assuming that when Trump said he wanted to do X, Y, or Z, that he actually genuinely intended to do it.
They took the statements at face value as reflections of intent.
But Gary, having seen the Citibank game up close, he wasn't surprised at all. He'd already seen powerful people just say whatever they thought would work in that specific moment or for that specific audience. Truth, consistency, totally secondary.
So the real takeaway isn't what are they saying, but why are they saying this right now? What effect are they trying to produce?
Precisely. What they say often reveals more about what they want us to believe or how they want us to react than about their actual plans or beliefs. It's a performance aimed at the audience.
Which explains some of those massive contradictions we see.
Totally. Like, conservatives getting really worked up about illegal immigration, while maybe legal immigration is actually increasing under their watch. Or think about Elon Musk.
Right, talking tough on immigration sometimes, but his companies, oh, they need workers, presumably, including immigrants.
Exactly. The words serve one purpose, maybe riling up a base or creating a certain image, while the actions serve another, often more practical or economic one. You gotta look past the noise.
So don't focus on the rhetoric, focus on the underlying motivations.
Bingo. And Gary reckons, at the end of the day, the main damn motivation for most of these mega-rich, mega-powerful types is pretty straightforward.
More money, more power.
Yep. More wealth, more power. And not just for them, but crucially for their kids, too. Securing that legacy. He even brought up Putin and the Ukraine invasion.
Oh, yeah. What was his take?
He said his immediate thought wasn't some complex geopolitical analysis. It was more like, okay, how old is Putin? Does he have sons? Is he trying to cement something for them to inherit?
Huh. That's a great angle. Focusing on the dynastic impulse, the continuation of power and wealth across generations.
Yeah, it cuts through the ideology and focuses on that raw drive. It's like that old football saying, right? Don't watch the man, watch the ball.
Meaning focus on the ultimate goal, the money and power, not the fancy footwork or the distracting talk.
Exactly. All the talk, the contradictions, the seemingly crazy stuff, it's just misdirection, part of the game.
Yep.
The ball is always accumulating more control, more cash. And Gary shared a couple of great anecdotes about actual games to illustrate this.
Okay, like board games.
Yeah. First one was Catan. Settlers of Catan. He was playing with friends, and one buddy needed a specific resource card to make a trade. Gary asked him if he had a different card to trade back. The buddy said yes. They made the trade. It helped the buddy out. But later, Gary realized the guy had totally lied. He didn't have the card he claimed to have.
He just lied to facilitate the trade he wanted.
Straight up lied. And when Gary called him on it, it was like, dude, you didn't have that card. The friend's response was just totally casual, like, yeah. So it's a game, man. I wanted to win.
Wow. Just zero remorse. The goal of winning justified the lie. It's just a game, so normal rules don't apply.
Gary said he was genuinely shocked at the time. Like, it wasn't high stakes, it was just Catan. But it showed that mentality. When you want something, the rules become flexible. Then there's the Monopoly story, which is even more intense.
Monopoly can get pretty brutal.
Tell me about it. So, Gary was apparently crushing it in this Monopoly game, just dominating. And his friend decided, seemingly, that the only way he could possibly win, or maybe just stop Gary from winning so badly, was to actively sabotage him.
How? Like refusing trades.
Worse. He'd actively try to scupper any trade Gary tried to make with anyone else, even if the trade made absolutely no logical sense for the friend himself to oppose. He'd just jump in and trash talk it, make up reasons why it was a terrible deal for the other player.
Even if it hurt his own position.
Yeah. Totally irrational from a game strategy perspective. But Gary said the scary part was the friend seemed to genuinely believe his own bullshit in those moments. The desire to stop Gary warped his perception of the deals.
That's, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Wanting something so badly or wanting someone else not to have something that it literally changes your beliefs about reality.
Exactly. And Gary figured out the sneaky way to counter him. If the friend started attacking a trade Gary was proposing, Gary would just suddenly flip it, pretend he wanted the other side of the exact same deal.
And what happened?
The friend would instantly do a 180. He'd start attacking the new deal, arguing against the very thing he was just arguing for seconds before.
Yeah.
Total incoherence.
Oh my God, that just perfectly proves the point, doesn't it? The only consistent thing was opposing Gary, not any actual logic or belief about the trade itself.
Absolutely. So Gary's point with all this is expect that relentless drive for wealth and power. Don't expect consistent ideology or consistent beliefs or even consistent behavior. Expect the game.
Expect the objective to dictate the tactics, regardless of consistency or truth.
Right. Which leads to the really important bit. How do we deal with this? The big takeaway is don't get sucked into their damn games.
Because they set the rule.
Yeah, they're constantly throwing out words, stories, ideas. A lot of it's designed to mess with your head, to destabilize you, get you reacting emotionally, maybe fighting amongst yourselves. So ultimately, your resources, your attention, it flows their way.
And if you engage on their terms, playing by their rules.
You're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
It becomes a direct power struggle. And unless you're already rich and powerful yourself, you're at a huge disadvantage. They have more resources, more influence.
So the key is don't play.
Don't play their game. Step outside their rules. Refuse to accept their framing. That's how you regain some power.
It forces a shift in the dynamic if you refuse to engage on their predefined battlefield.
Exactly. And Gary ties this back to his own Citibank experience. He said he felt like he was going a bit crazy, but ultimately he succeeded because he kind of broke their rules, stepped outside the game they were trying to force him into.
He found his own way out.
Yeah. And he emphasizes that the real power for ordinary folks isn't trying to beat the billionaires at their own game individually. It's sticking together, alliance, unity.
Collective action. Because individuals might be at a disadvantage, but united people, that's a different story.
That's the real counterweight. Now, Gary isn't exactly painting a rosy picture of the future. He's pretty blunt about expecting some seriously rough times ahead.
Economically.
Socially.
All of it. Mentally, socially, economically. He stresses how important it is for people to look after their mental well-being, to communicate, be compassionate, understand each other.
Especially if things get tough, because that's when divisions can be exploited.
Precisely. Because the tactic of the super rich and powerful, he argues, is often to divide everyone else. Get us pissed off at each other, make us hate each other. He even referenced the 2 minutes hate from Orwell's 1984.
Right, that idea of manufactured hatred directed at a scapegoat to distract people and maintain control, keep people angry at the wrong targets.
Exactly. It stops people from looking at the real structures of power. But the flip side is, when people do unite, when they see past that stuff, that's when they're genuinely powerful. Solidarity becomes crucial. Mutual support, shared understanding, it's the antidote to divide and conquer.
Couldn't agree more. So, okay, let's wrap this whole damn thing up.
Yeah.
The core idea from Gary, based on his pretty fucked up Citibank experience, is that a lot of what the rich and powerful say and do, it's strategic game playing.
Yeah, aimed squarely at accumulating more wealth, more power, more control, often for the long haul, for their families too.
And just understanding that game, recognizing it when you see it, that's like putting on armor. It helps you avoid getting manipulated by the rhetoric, by the bullshit.
You start looking past the words to the underlying motivations and objectives. Awareness is the first step.
Totally. So here's the final thought, something for everyone listening to really chew on. What games might you be unknowingly participating in your work, in society, wherever?
And following from that, how can you maybe step outside those rules, not just for your own benefit, but maybe in solidarity with others?
Yeah. What are the real balls you should be watching? The actual goals. The flows of money and power instead of getting distracted by the players and their often manipulative crap.
That's a really crucial question for self-reflection, understanding our own position within these dynamics.
Definitely something to think about. All right. Thanks for diving deep into this with us today. Stay sharp out there, people. Don't let them